Hi guys, Puddin here with a Bismarck review. Now this ship is been out for over a year, and I just thought I would do a review on this just to see how the ship still stands. Is it still viable? With rank season coming up, I do believe it's tier 8 and tier 10. So this was one of the most popular ships for ranked. It's the reason it got the hydro nerf was because of ranked primarily. But with it being out for over a year, is this ship still good? Is it still enjoyable? And how does it compare to the other ships that are in the game? Now, once again, we are going to start this off as 100% stock ship, and then obviously, what it is upgraded. Your survivability starts at 64,500, and you get a torpedo reduction of 24%. This, I do believe, is the worst torpedo reduction between the other tier 8s. The North Carolina gets 836, Amagi 45, Monarch is 24 with you, and the Richelieu gets a 37%. So poor Monarch and Bismarck get horrible torpedo reduction. Of course, when you upgrade your hull, your survivability goes up to 69,200. And to compare that to the other ships, the NC is 66,000. 66,000 fully upgraded. Amagi is 66,300. Monarch is 6,500. And the Richelieu is 63,700. So you actually get the most health out of all the tier 8s. I'm not going over the premiums. I'm just going over the tech tree ships. Now, as far as your artillery goes, you get these lovely 15-inch double barrel turrets. You get 4 of these. You really, well, you get a reload of 26 seconds. I do believe the Richelieu and Monarch are the only other ones that compete with you in there. Amagi and NC, I believe, are at 30 seconds. Well, I know the Monarch does get a quick reload. Now, your maximum dispersion is 255 meters. To compare that to what everyone considers the accurate American guns, the NC maximum dispersion is 293. The sniper, that is the Amagi, is 227 meters. The Monarch is at 242, and Richelieu is at 291. So you do get some fairly accurate guns at range. Just the Monarch and Amagi get better dispersion than you do. What is the firing range? Oh, this isn't upgraded. Now, your maximum HE is 4,400 with a fire chance of 35%. And to compare that to the other two fire starters, the Monarch is at 6,300 for damage and a 30% fire damage, and the Richelieu is at 5,400 with a 36% fire chance. So you're pretty much on par as fire chance, just the other two are doing more HE damage. You really shouldn't be shooting HE out of a Bismarck to begin with. Your AP max damage is 11,600. Compare there, and once again, the American is at 13,100. The Amagi is at 12,600. The Monarch is at 11,900. And the Richelieu is at 11,900 also. So you kind of are doing the worst as far as AP max damage. You're also shooting less shells because you do have less. You don't have less turrets. You have less barrels per turret. But what you do get is nice shell velocity. Now the stock range is at 19.3 kilometers. When we upgrade that, you go up to 21.2 kilometers. So you do get a nice jump, and just to put that in perspective for you, now all these other ships that I'm comparing to, with the exception of the Monarch, because they do not have a captain in it, are fully upgraded and fully spec'd out for, well, what I believe is going to be the best build, minus the Amagi, because I just threw in a 10-point captain because I cannot stand that ship. But the NC shoots out to 23.3 kilometers. The Amagi gets 19.9. The Monarch gets 18.1. And the Richelieu gets 23. You really shouldn't be max range shooting in the Bismarck, because it gets German accuracy. It's not very accurate at range. While dispersion isn't horrific, the accuracy just seems to be questionable at times. But your initial shell velocity is, stop moving please, is 820 meters per second for both AP and HE. Now compared to the NC, let's see, the NC's AP, I believe, is 701 meters per second, and its HE is 820. So your HE is on par with that. Your shells are going down range faster than the NC's. The Amagi sits at 806 and 805 respectively, so pretty much their AP and HE is going about the same, or getting the same initial velocity. So once again, you are better. Your shells are going downrange faster than Amagi's. The Monarch's AP and HE initial velocity is 836, so it does have faster flying shells than you. And the Richelieu is at 830, so the Richelieu gets the fastest shells out of the barrel. The Richelieu and Monarch, both AP and HE, are exactly the same. I do not believe that changes with the range upgrade or the hull upgrade. Nope, that stays all the same. Now, your secondaries, and the reason I'm going over this is because this is a strong point and a key care. One of the key things that make the Germans unique is their secondary armament. Without a captain and stock hull, you get these 105 shootout to 9.5. Now, I do have, obviously, the secondary module equipped, and I do have the flag on there. But I do not have a captain. With a captain here, it goes out to 11.3. I do not believe that changes with the upgraded hull. Nope. Nope. And you pretty much just keep the same things even with the upgraded hull. But your only competition in a secondary duel or a secondary battle or anybody who was even close would be the French and the Richelieu. With a captain in there, their 100 mil guns, which would be the small ones, which is compared to your 105s, is doing 54,000 damage at 36% fire chance, while that doesn't, no, wrong one. It does 14, yeah, the 100 mils do 1,400 damage with a 6% fire chance, while you are doing 1,200, yeah, while you are doing 1,200 with a 5% fire chance. You're really the reload for those secondaries are 3.2. The Richelieu gets 3.8. So you're shooting more often, but you're getting less of a fire chance. The other thing with the Germans is the cruiser buff that went into effect is also affecting your secondary. So you are getting IFAG for free. So you're getting better pen secondaries than you are compared to the French. But you're really only losing a 0.5% in fire damage for your small caliber secondaries or your rapid firing secondaries. You do outrange the Richelieu. The Richelieu fully spec'd out is a 10.6, and like I said, with the captain in here, it should be 11.3. But with it being a small margin of you gaining the advantage, pretty much you're going to get the shots in first. But if you're going to be dueling in a secondary, you're not going to be sticking at max secondary range. And that's all of these all over the ship. Now your 150 mils, and I do believe these are dual purpose. I believe the 105s are dual purpose too. But your 150 mil maximum damage for your 150 mil secondaries is 1700 with an 8.5% fire chance. Once again, range is going to be the same, but your reload time is 7.1 seconds. Now, why do I point this out? Because on the Richelieu, it gets 152 millimeters. I do believe you get actually more secondaries than the Richelieu, but this is your only competition in a secondary duel. The Richelieu gets 152, which do 2200, and gets a 12% fire chance, but it gets a reload of 11.4 seconds. So your long range is actually shooting more often than his long range. His higher caliber is shooting less than your higher caliber. The other thing with these is the Germans' secondaries, while they do not show and do not show the health here, your secondaries are a little bit more healthier compared to the French. So if you're dealing with a IFAG spammer and or a British battleship that actually has decent HE shells, unlike the poor Monarch, your secondaries will hold up a little bit better than the French, but you're still going to lose a lot of them. The ones that are more or less likely to survive the most are going to be the 150 mil, which is why I point that out for you guys. Now, of course, your stock range is 19.3 kilometers for your main battery. Once you upgrade that, you go up to 21.2 kilometers. To compare that, we already did all that, I believe. Yep. Now, if you do decide to spec into AA, the 105 millimeter is going to be what is going to be doing all of your real damage. That is going to make the most use out of manual AA, which is what you're going to need if you're going to go with an AA build. I kind of don't, because when I know there's a carrier, I just try to buddy up and get into an AA bubble and use somewhat of my skill of just turning to deal with that as best I can. But you can go with a AA build, and it will surprise a lot of people. Some of the reason I don't go with it is because, for the most part, the things that are just going to outright just make my day absolutely freaking miserable are a Midway and an Excess, and those things are higher tiers, and I'm going to need help surviving anyways. My game plan for that is, don't be the guy the guy's dropping on. But you do get adequate AA. I really didn't go through anyone else because the only important battleship as far as AA is an NC. And in order to go through all those numbers, I don't want to make this an too long of a video. But your AA, your 20 millimeter, you get 12 of these 20 millimeters. Your short range do 36 damage per second. Your then you get what are these? Double. Ow. Like I said, stock. Yeah, you get these. Your other 20 mil double barrel do 12, and those 12 damage per second. Your 37 millimeter do 21 damage, and those go out to 3.5. Your dual purpose 105s do 133, and this is without a captain. Well, we know the firing range. Put that back on. And I do not believe anything else changes. But once you upgrade, and the first thing you really should upgrade is your hull, because 19.3 kilometers is plenty. Your stock range of 29 knots is more than enough to keep you going. But once you upgrade the hull, as you can see, you know, some of these numbers have changed. Your 37 millimeter, you actually gain a lot more of this AA all around your ship. As you can see, the damage numbers have gone up to where these dual 20 mils are now doing 96. Your 37 are now doing 103, and your 105s, I do believe, are doing exactly the same. But you do gain an awful lot of AA. So if you do go for an AA build, you got to keep this in mind, that you really won't see the benefit until you upgrade to your hull. Upgrade to the B hull. Now, considering nothing else is going to change once I slap in the captain, I will go over my captain skills a little bit later. But as you can see, none of these really change. What it does change is my secondaries, and what it does is it pushes out the range to 11.3 kilometers. The other thing that's going to change is obviously is concealment, because I do have a concealment expert captain in there. Now, your stock speed is 29 knots, and to compare your maneuverability to everyone else, your stock speed is 29 knots. I believe everything else is going to stay the same, but the North Carolina upgraded does 27.5, the Magi does 30, the Monarch does 28, and the Richelieu does 32. So the Richelieu is the fastest, and a Richelieu that is without hitting the speed boost is going to be faster than you stock. Once you upgrade, yes, I'd like to mount this, you'll go up to 32.6 knots. I do believe I have a speed flag on here, so some of these numbers may be skewed a little bit for that. But you can keep up with the other battleships. There's not going to be too many things that are going to be outrunning you that is not called Russian destroyer. Now, your turning circle radius is 850 meters, and your rudder shift is 16 seconds. It's a battleship. You should be used to taking forever to turn, and a rudder takes forever. But the North Carolina gets a 17.3 rudder shift with the 760 meter turning circle. The Amagi gets a 17.3 rudder shift and an 870 turning circle. So you and the Amagi are kind of both the same as not being able to taking a very big turn. Well, the North Carolina does a little bit smaller turn. You do get you guys are both kind of in the same range as far as rudder shift. Monarch gets a 790 meter turning circle and a 15-second rudder shift. The Richelieu gets an 850 meter turning circle and a 15.4 rudder shift. So, well, everybody's pretty much got a horrific turning circle, minus the North Carolina really's got the best one. Everyone's pretty much on par, is just your rudders, take forever to turn. Now, this is with a concealment captain, and I do believe that nothing changes with the hull upgrade, but my detectability is 12.3 kilometers. Anything over 11 kilometers you don't care about, because planes will only spot at 11 kilometers. So for the most part, you get an 11 kilometer air detection. If you're firing from smoke, you're doing it wrong. But just to put the reason I've gone to a concealment build is really there's a 1 kilometer difference between my secondary range and my detectability. So if I am going up against other battleships, my secondaries will be involved in the fight for a little bit, which is why I did switch to that. But the NC, I believe, gets a 11.8 kilometer detection by sea. Amagi's 13 kilometers. Monarch is 12.7. I do not have a captain in the Monarch, so that will probably go down. The other thing is the NC air detection is 9.7, so it's doing a lot better there. The Amagi is 10.6 with an air detection. Monarch 11 kilometers because it's over the 11 kilometer mark. But like I said, I do not have captain in there, so that's probably going to be below there. And I forgot to look at the poor Richelieu's detection. Well, we'll fix that real quick. Well, the Richelieu is 12.6 with the 10.7 air. So, going with a stealth build, because everyone else I've done is a stealth build, you're pretty much on par with that. I do believe the Monarch will actually have better stealth than you. The NC gets a little bit better stealth than you, but for the most part, you're going to catch each other at about the same time, because as we just saw, these battleships don't like to turn extremely fast, and it takes a while for the rudder to turn. But this should be nothing new, especially if you've gone up the battleship line. Now, the way I would set up the upgrades or the modules are, I would definitely go with the main battery mods 1, because I just don't like getting my guns knocked out. DAMCON 1, DAMCON 2, less fires is always good. Longer shooting secondaries, because, well, it's a German battleship, and it's what the Germans do because they can brawl very well. And concealment, because, well, being sneaky is always fun. But the reason you can brawl, and the reason I go with this, is because of your armor. You get a 32 millimeter bow, but more importantly, what you're going to get is, when you see this, is turtle back armor. That's what this right here is. It's the turtleback that is protecting your citadel, which is why it is nearly impossible to citadel a German battleship when they get in close. It is a strength of the Germans. They were the first ones in the game that introduced this turtleback armor, which makes them for excellent brawlers. Now, of course, we all have seen Aaron's video, and there is a way to punch through the front of the ship and go right into the citadel. But you have to be careful with your shot, because you see you get this belt armor right here that is 60 millimeters. So you're going to have to do an extremely accurate shot to get in what is usually known as, where you shoot a Yamato. You're aiming pretty much under the front guns. That will punch right in. But the thing that kind of hurts the Germans so much is this extremely large superstructure. Just eats HE damage all day long because it's only 19 millimeters. And the other thing, because its deck armor is, well, so heavily, they pretty much just put it all there. AP bombs are going to go right through you and just go right into that citadel and just absolutely wreck you. Now, you get some decent armor on your turrets, but like I said, once you get in close, it is nearly impossible to citadel the Germans unless you absolutely know exactly what you're doing and he does angle up incorrectly due to this turtleback armor. But the thing with the Germans, and the reason usually the Germans have the biggest health pool, is because they are the biggest ships in the game, and because their superstructure is just very large and just eats HE damage all game long. Now, usually where you want to aim at on the German ships is right about here. This main belt is kind of where you want to aim at, because it's only 160 millimeters. So if you are in a battleship, this is kind of where you want to aim. You don't want to aim at the waterline because you're not going through. But if you aim here, usually what's going to happen is you're going to put some into the superstructure, some into this armor belt, but some shots should come in here, and this is where you're going to get your pen damage. This is where we're going to do most of your pen damage to a German battleship. You don't want to aim waterline because you're not hitting that citadel, especially when you get up close. The way most Germans get citadel is actually long range plunging fire coming in through the top and going through all of the stuff into the citadel, which is why you should not sit at range with any German battleship, even the Bismarck. The other thing that makes the Germans special is they get to carry hydro-acoustic. Now, as you can see, their hydro is 4.4 kilometer detection of ships. So what that means is it doesn't matter if it's behind an island, in a smoke cloud, wherever it is, if it's within 4.4 kilometers and your hydro is running, you will spot it. The nice thing is it gets 3.12 kilometer for detection of torps. So if you know there's a Pan-Asian in the area and he's sitting in a smoke cloud, you better hit that hydro because it's the only way you're going to spot the torpedoes. Of course, I have put on the premium version, so I get a faster reload and an extra charge for the hydro because I'm not running Superintendent, but it's 120 seconds for a recharge. It does last 96 seconds. It doesn't matter premium or not. The work time is exactly the same. The only thing that changes for premiums is you get an extra one and they come back a little bit quicker. I personally would recommend it against a spotter plane because, well, you shouldn't be shooting at range to begin with, but there are times that warrant a spotter shooting over islands, shooting in the smoke. If your catapult fighter spotter plane is a personal preference sort of thing. Might as well go premium heal because usually you're going to see tier 10s because, well, matchmaking hates you. Now that we've gone over my upgrades and my consumables, we're going to look at what captain build works for me. There's going to be one difference between bringing this captain up the tech line and the captain that I have. In order of what I believe is importance is priority target. I use this as when my hydro is down. What I use this for is because most destroyers, what they will do is target you with guns, switch torps, drop the torps, switch back to guns. So your indicator goes up by 1, down by 1, up by 1. Oh, a DD drops smoke. I may not know what area he's in, but doesn't matter if I don't know where he is. Pretty much if I stop and turn, I'm going to miss most of his torps because his lead indication is telling him where I am, what I'm doing at that minute he dropped it. So if I just wait a second, cut speed turn, 9 times out of 10, you'll miss his torps. Secondly, I go with Expert Marksman because they do get in close. I have tried using Adrenaline Rush. Just Expert Marksman seems to help get my turrets to turn. So when I'm brawling, I'm not having to turn my ship as much to keep my turrets to bear. Basics of survivability because screw you fires, I'm tired of burning. Now, I am going with a secondary build, so I'm going with manual control for secondaries. Now, what this does is you really won't see much of an effect when you pick this perk for anything under tier 8. Once you get to tier 8, you will see a drastic change. But what this does is when you manually click on a target, you will get a minus 60% to the dispersion of shells. You're pretty much your secondaries are going to get a lot more accurate, but your secondaries will not activate until you click on something. So if you do take manual secondaries, you do have to remember they will not fire until you click on the target you want them to shoot. Advanced fire training because, well, this helps out secondaries and my AA, and pretty much I go with this with every single battleship, along with more concealment. But like I said, in order of importance here is concealment first, then advanced fire training, then manuals. Those are the important things. Now, you're going to have one skill point left over. For those of you that do not know, preventative maintenance will not help your secondaries or your AA. What this does is this helps reduce the modules that will become incapacitated. Main batteries, engines, rudder, torp tubes. That's what preventative maintenance helps. The reason I have preventative maintenance on the Bismarck or on this captain is because this guy goes into the turrets, which is why I have preventative maintenance to save my torpedo tubes. Now, with your extra point, you could go expert loader, but my belief is AP all the time, and if you need to switch, you shoot and just switch out that way. You don't really have aircraft except for your catapult fighter, so you know what? You could go with directional. You could go with an extra catapult fighter. Or you could go with this incoming alert to let you know when somebody at range is shooting at you. Pretty much, you know, whatever you want to do here is personal preference. Everything else is what I would highly recommend, especially if you're going with a secondary build. And like I said, order of importance: priority target, expert marksman, basics of survivability to screw you fires, concealment, advanced, manual, then whatever you want to do to finish out your captain so you can start farming captain experience. Now that we have seen, how the ship compares to everything, upgraded, unupgraded, the one thing I do want to point out is this: I do have the permanent camo on. I do love this ship. I enjoy this ship, as you can see there. I do have the 2 special Bismarck Camos. And if you did participate in the Bismarck campaign when it was active and just never got around to playing the ship, slapping these on are perfectly fine, viable. These will not charge you money. Yeah, I did get the Halloween, but yeah. I just like the permanent camo. It just makes the ship look awesome, in my point. But I would definitely be going with at least the Type 5 camo. And the reason I point this out is because you do get some concealment out of this. You are going to be up tiered a lot. Tier 8 is kind of the beginning of, you really need to be pumping money into your ship, in the point of consumables, running premium consumables, running paint, or running camo. You really just need that. If you're fortunate enough to get one of these, you will be fine. Just use either one of those, whatever one you like. Don't be like Sneaky and just not run it because you don't like it and go naked. But this is the way I've set up my flags. Longer secondaries, more speed because, well, I don't like things running away from me. More HP recovery because you are a battleship. I don't like the burn. I don't want to get detonated. I have a lot of these in low secondaries, which is why I'm not doing, I believe it is these. Yeah. So that's pretty much why I'm doing that. And, well, I have a bunch of these, so it doesn't matter. Might as well farm some captain experience. But the flags that you really should be running are minus fires, more HP, and then anything else. Well, and then obviously longer secondaries, and then anything else that you have that you feel you warrant. Obviously, if you're burning through the ship, if you have a lot of the EXP flags, slap them on. If you're running low, wait until there's a double. They're doing some sort of EXP event, or at least use it just for your first win to maximize your experience. If you are going through it, there is no real. In my opinion, there's really no reason to rush through any tier 8 because it's really going to be how the high-end or the top tier ships are going to play. It's pretty much where, as far as, if you look at the tech trees, pretty much when the Navy started, most of the Navy started changing ships to actually fight and participate in World War II, i.e., their carriers are going to be down in force. AA, it's kind of the beginning of the modern, well, this would be the modern battleships, because these are the last battleships that were built. So there's no real reason to rush through the Bismarck, because all the Frederick is just a bigger Bismarck, and all the Kurfürst is just, well, just a better ship than both of them. So it is just a natural line progression. If you get to the Bismarck and really enjoy it, you're going to enjoy going up the German line. If you get to the Bismarck and cannot stand it, well, guess what? You are saving yourself pains and headaches of getting up to or playing through the Grosser, and then playing the Kerr first, because they all pretty much play exactly the same play styles. It's just your tier 8, their tier 9, and 10. So now with that, guys, we are going to go check out the gameplay footage I have of you, showcasing some of the strengths of the Bismarck. Alright, guys, now as you can see here with this gameplay, I am top tier. This is glorious matchmaking for any tier 8. There aren't very many of us, while this is kind of a DD heavy game. I don't have to deal with any pesky tier 9s or 10s. Also, there is no carrier in the game, and this is kind of an extremely good map for the Bismarck due to it's a little bit of a smaller map. It's more of a mid-tier map. Now, my line of thinking is at the start of this game is I want to support our destroyer as much as possible. As you can see by some of the rings on the mini-map, I'll just blow that up a little bit more. I leave on my detection for when I'm spotted by sea. The yellow line is my secondary range, and then the very small inner little dots is my hydro range. Now, the reason I don't have my air detection on is because, like I said, it's over the 11 kilometers, so there really is no need for it, because pretty much at 11 kilometers you're going to get spotted. I was initially going to go to A and just bully my way around there, but then I thought, you know what, I'll try to do whatever I can to support the destroyer at B, because if you can get the cap at B early, the better off you are. Now, I will use my plane to try to spot torpedoes and things prior to using you know, my hydro and stuff. Some of the other reason why I decided to come over back and turn my way is to try to push this New Orleans away. If I maintain a presence in the middle, I am controlling or trying to help the middle of the map. The other thing is, looking at the mini-map, looks like not a lot of their ships were going to be going in the middle. Put my secondaries on New Orleans, immediately switch to the destroyer. I'm going to actively target the destroyer with my primaries. Load that down a little bit more so you know, so I don't get it in the way. I do some nice chunking damage. Now, if you did not know, battleship AP will when it overpens only does 10% of the damage. So while 3 overpens on the destroyer may seem like only, you know, 3 overpens, it's still 3,000 of his health that is gone. I want to focus on New Orleans to help out our destroyers. I want to get rid of that radar. There really isn't much of an enemy team that is by sea here, so I am turning around to come back and help support and keep and maintain B. Most of the enemy have gone to B, but like I said, I wanted to support the destroyer as much as I possibly could at B. The other thing is, I kind of didn't want to just go rushing into A and then just die to everything, because, you know what, even though I am top tier, getting focused down is never good. The best thing you can do is just support your destroyers, especially when the opportunity presents itself. You know what, like this, because domination, your destroyers are the ones that are going to pretty much get the caps early and control the caps, and you know what, the destroyers become even more important when it comes to late game. Now the Queen Elizabeth is running away, angled up, and what I see is the enemy Bismarck pushing out through the A-cap here. I'm gonna go broadside. I immediately click him for my secondaries too, but I'm gonna take in the shots while I can, pretty much with the island covering me. But running a secondary build kind of allows you to do multiple things. One, you can fight two ships at once because you can have your secondaries on something while pretty much you're going to be raking up fire and just small little plinking damage while you're using your main guns to take something down that has a little bit more health, or you can use your secondaries to kind of just help you win the battle as far as maintaining health pool and your repair parties. But this is what I mean by I'm leaving my secondaries on the Bismarck, but I'm shooting at other ships. I'm dealing with stuff that is, a lot more health. And usually I put my secondaries on something that is low health. Because as a battleship, it's kind of a waste to, throw out a salvo at something that is extremely low. And that is the nice thing with the German battleships. If you are close enough to it, usually within 11 kilometers, you can just have your secondaries go to town on it, and then focus another ship with your primaries. You are not using your primaries that take forever to load to deal with something that is low health, that potentially something that's a little bit more rapid fire, like a cruiser, to finish it. Now, my secondaries came in just as my primaries came in and did a nice AK to that poor York. The other thing is, if you do have a very aggressive enemy team coming at you, you can't kite away with your secondaries, because, the same principle happens with when you are fighting something that is running and something that is coming towards you. You're going to get a little bit more secondary hits if they're coming towards you, just because of the distance. The shells really don't have to make up, the enemy's making up that distance. I see the Duke of York. I pretty much wasn't too worried about going broadside, even taking any sort of penetrating damage, because most British battleships will be shooting HE. But I do angle up anyways, because it did look like this gentleman was using some AP. But this is what I mean. I kind of slow down and I just let this guy creep in with my secondaries. There's really nothing else for me to shoot, so I might as well just focus him down. But as you can see, those secondaries are just going, just constantly are climbing. I'm pretty much coming to a near dead stop. I believe at this point I'm only going quarter, because I want to suck this guy in to primarily the range he is now. This is a very good, comfortable range, especially for having manual secondaries. See the DD, I immediately put it on him. This is another reason why I like the German battleships, because you do get the hydro, and your secondaries are going to hit these destroyers, one, more often. Two, they can, for the most part, just take care of a DD all by themselves. They will knock out modules. They will set fires, because the Germans, all of their secondaries shoot HE. DD is not spotted. Might as well get my secondaries going on something else. Was going to shoot my primaries at the Bismarck, but there's no need to. I have a better target, the Colorado, and this is what I mean. I'm actively fighting two ships at once. One ship with my secondaries, one ship with my primaries. Now, as you can see, the New Orleans is actually just shooting into my superstructure as my secondaries pull off Confederate. Might as well nail this guy, and that's game, guys. And now the post-battle results. I do hope you guys enjoyed this review of the Bismarck. It has been over a year since the German battleships have been out. There have been some changes as far as secondaries, hydro, and smoke changes. But I do believe this video showcased the strengths of the German battleships. You get in close, brawl, use your secondaries to pester and annoy people, which is kind of why I enjoy them so much. We do appreciate all the support you guys do give us. We do love the replays you guys send in. The email for that is in the description down below. Please remember to compliment good teamwork, good team play. We're quick to report, slow to compliment. Please hit that like and subscribe button and have yourselves one heck of a great day.